Okay, today I am sharing life. Life. Um, it's technically a story that is taking place on another planet um, in a very distant future. And of course, this is an original story by me, and all rights belong to me. Okay, so life. Kenneth Samuels couldn't believe he lost his house in a poker game. He had other houses. He'd been born with a silver spoon in his mouth, was the old saying. But this modest two-bedroom house was his favorite. He just wanted to kick himself for allowing himself to be hustled out of his favorite house. The parents of Kenneth Samuels hadn't meant to spoil him so badly, but they had. He had been an only child, and conceiving him had been expensive. Kenneth's father was a clone of his father. But Kenneth's father, Henry Samuels, had wanted a more traditional family, a nuclear family with a real wife and children. The elder Samuel's father had explained to him that he worked so much that he hadn't found time to form any real relationships with any females. And Henry Samuels had decided as a young man he would find a wife, and he did. He had hoped for at least 2 children with his wife, but he was a clone, which made his sperm weak. And she, Sonia, was already 45. 45's not old when people live to be 150. But it's still just past those prime baby-making years for human females. And even though she had the forethought to have a couple dozen of her eggs stored when she was in her 20s, they still had trouble. So when the final attempt to implant an embryo took, and she was finally pregnant, they had counted their blessings and prayed she wouldn't miscarry. Kenneth was born a healthy, hearty baby boy. Kenneth can't say he didn't have loving, attentive parents, but he was an only child, and he had found other children annoying. So they had bought him a robotic sibling to play with, a boy made to resemble himself. It would laugh at his jokes even when they weren't funny, and played all games his way, so he always won. Kenneth only ever made one real friend, Milo, a genius with a similar passion for vehicles, engines, and robotics. In their teens, when they became interested in girls, Kenneth asked for an upgrade for his favorite toy that he had called Paul as a boy. The upgrade he asked for surprised his mother more than his father. But for his 16th birthday, they got him the upgrade he wanted for the robotic playmate. The upgrade turned the 5-foot-tall, what looked like a 10-year-old boy, into a 5-foot-tall teenage girl, a sex bot. Kenneth picked out blonde hair and blue eyes and ample breast. His parents weren't too surprised by his choices. Henry Samuels would never admit in front of his wife for fear of hurting her feelings, but his fantasies when he was a young man were often of fair-skinned blondes. The upgrade gave the robot every orifice a real girl had, but the robot didn't say no. The robot didn't expect to be his girlfriend. He didn't have to worry about its feelings, and he could do anything to it he wanted. It spoke to greet him in the mornings and when he returned home. Other than that, it usually only spoke when spoken to. It kept his room clean for him, and it would cook for him if he told it to. Other than that, it just sat and waited for him to tell it what he wanted. When Kenneth was in his mid-20s, he took his favorite toy to Milo and had it aged to look like it was in its 20s, so he wouldn't look like a perv that was into young girls. But the robots were a safe way for people with not so normal desires to satisfy themselves without actually harming anyone or breaking any laws. Kenneth is now 40, and he's still not a people person. Unlike Milo, he's never had a real girlfriend. He's been with a few real women, and he'll admit there's nothing like the feel and smell of a real woman, but he won't admit his fear of commitment. His parents are worried about him, and they want grandchildren. And looks aren't the problem. Kenneth is good looking. He's tall with a lean, muscular build, smooth jet black hair that's on the long side, deep brown eyes with a slight slant to them, and naturally light tan skin. Women are definitely attracted to him, but he really doesn't know how to approach one without offending her. Kenneth has a very direct nature. Only his one truly bad habit is gambling. Robotic playmates don't complain about your bad habits, but he is really pissed at himself. He's lost his favorite house in a card game, and he still owes the guy money. Duke said he'd be satisfied with half the money if Kenneth gave him his favorite toy. Kenneth doesn't mind sharing Molly. If Duke had wanted to borrow Molly for a night, Kenneth would have been okay with that, but Kenneth's not giving up his favorite toy. Chapter 2. Molly, go wait in the garage for me, Kenneth orders. Yes, Kenny. A few minutes later, Duke arrives with his attorney and the paperwork for the house. Where's that sweet little robotic playmate of yours? Asks Duke. In the garage. Then Kenneth lies. It's malfunctioning. I've got to take it to Milo. Don't worry. I'll have your credits transferred to your account by the end of the day. We can forget the credits you owe me if you'd let me have that sweet little robot of yours, says Duke. Kenneth signs over the ownership of the house. I told you, Duke. It's malfunctioning. I'm taking it to Milo now. Enjoy your new house. Kenneth goes to the garage and climbs in onto his motorcycle. Come on, Molly, let's go. And it climbs onto the motorcycle behind Kenneth. He drives to Milo's. It's a 2-story building. The lower half is Milo's robotics and robot accessories. The upper half is where Milo lives. Kenneth parks around back. Off, Molly, he orders, and it climbs off the motorcycle. He climbs off, takes it by the wrist, and leads it inside. Hi, Milo, greets Kenneth. Hey, Kenny, what's up? Kenneth sighs. Signed the house over to Duke. He offered to forget the rest of the debt if I gave him Molly. She's not even a recent model. I haven't even upgraded her in like 15 years. Milo smiles. He's just messing with you. He knows Molly's your favorite toy. It is overdue for an upgrade, though. I've got something new. Haven't used it yet for anybody. It's already been banned in some solar systems. Banned? Questions Kenneth, curious. Milo shrugs. Something about making them too lifelike. Too lifelike? Questions Kenneth, curious. This upgrade grows real flesh over the robotic skeleton. Gives it real skin and hair. Programs and a personality, explains Milo. So it will respond more like a real person. And real flesh means better sex. Kenneth thinks for a minute, then asks, Can I keep her a blonde? Milo shakes his head. Not available yet. But I have a picture of the model I have available. He hands the photo to Kenneth. Kenneth sees a headshot of a woman with wavy dark brown hair, brown almondish eyes, nice cheekbones, and a great smile and a round tan face. Wow, says Kenneth, impressed. That's what I thought when I first looked at it, shares Milo. It hits you right off that she's beautiful. But then you realize she's really cute too. Most women are either beautiful or cute, not both. Whoever designed her is a genius. Some relative of yours, no doubt, teases Kenneth. Milo shrugs. So, what do you think? Kenneth decides, let's do it. If I don't like it, you can always remolly it for me. So how long will it take? About a week, answers Milo. I'll call you when it's ready. Then you can swing by and pick it up. Molly, take off your clothes. What position would you like, Milo? It asked, removing its clothes. No positions, Molly. We're going to upgrade you. Call you when it's ready, Kenny. See you later, Milo. Chapter 3. A little over a week later, after receiving Milo's call, Kenneth parks his car behind Milo's shop and plugs it in to charge. There are no fossil fuel vehicles anymore. Hey, Milo, how'd it go? Where is it? Kenneth's anxious to play with his favorite toy. Awesome, Milo responds. She's upstairs in one of the spare bedrooms. But check this out. Milo leads Kenneth into a small room and continues. This is the incubator. After I stripped Molly of all its synthetic skin and hair, etc., down to the basic infrastructure, I put it in here, popped out the eyes, shut it up tight. It fills with an oxygenated nutrient solution. You put the DNA sample in here. DNA? Questions Kenneth. It uses someone's DNA? So what? It's like a clone or something? That picture wasn't a computer-generated image? That was someone who's living someplace? I haven't gone over all the details yet, admits Milo. But she's not considered a clone because the DNA isn't an identical copy of the donor. Any defects like bad eyes or allergies were corrected. Plus, she wasn't grown in nor born of a real or synthetic womb. And the DNA donors for this are all deceased. That was a picture of the donor. But she's not alive somewhere. She's been dead for years. And there can only be one active counterpart. Meaning, you have the only one like this. No other guy anyplace has yours. This particular counterpart can't be issued again until it's been inactive for at least 50 years. 50 years, repeats Kenneth in amused disbelief. Milo shrugs. It was something watching the process take place. It grew the internal organs first, and after about 48 hours, she was covered in skin. Then it stimulated and accelerated hair growth. It aged her a bit, gave her some scars. Nobody makes it to adulthood without accumulating a few scars. It pierced her ears and her nose. But I got to put in her earrings and nose screw and dress her. She's got nice breasts. Epi caught me feeling them and smacked the crap out of me. Here's the part you're not going to like about her body. It gave her stretch marks. Stretch marks? Kenneth wrinkling his nose. Milo stretches out his hands. It's part of her story programming, so you have to know the story. He hands Kenneth a suitcase and picks up a matching duffel bag. We need to put these in your car. They're hers. As he and Milo walk out to the car and put the luggage in the trunk, Kenneth asks, So, what's the story? Her name is Wisdom Night Sky, Milo informs him. I don't get to pick her name, asks Kenneth. Nope, confirms Milo. It's pre-programmed. The story is, she's your fiancé. You two were having a baby, hence the stretch marks. Complications arose during labor and delivery. The baby was stillborn. She nearly died too because a nurse accidentally overdosed her with pain meds. The trauma of it all has left her with amnesia. Not total amnesia because she remembers you, her own name, and doctors say she may have some memory flashes. Those will actually come from her original memory banks. But the doctors told her she most likely won't recover her memory in full. Did you get rid of any and all pictures you have of Molly like I told you? Kenneth nods. Yeah, good. Milo, now standing at the bottom of the stairs that leads up to his flat over his business. Here, put these pictures in your wallet. They're computer generated, of course. Kenneth puts the pictures of himself with Wisdom in his wallet. There aren't any pictures of us together around my house. Your parents are taking care of that, Milo informs him. My parents? Kenneth's surprised and suspicious. You don't hear me talking about how much this upgrade costs, do you? Milo answers his own question. That's because your parents already paid for it, bought and gave me the equipment to perform the upgrade. They actually supplied everything to me a couple of years ago. Said the next time you came by with Molly to offer it to you. Don't look so suspicious. It's a present. They know they've strained your relationship by hounding you to get rid of your favorite toy and get a real woman. They're sorry, man. Milo enters his flat, followed by Kenneth, and stops with his hand on a bedroom doorknob. The rest of the story is, you're on your way home from the hospital, and you guys stop by here because we're going out to dinner. We're just waiting for Effie to get home from class. She was on her way to the bathroom when she fainted. Got it? Sure, says Kenneth. Can I see it now? Yeah, and Milo opens the door. Kenneth steps into the bedroom. It's lying on the bed. Its eyes are closed. Its dark wavy hair is long. It's dressed in jeans, gym shoes, a button-up blouse, and a jean jacket. There's a purse on the nightstand. Kenneth sits next to it on the edge of the bed and notices the rise and fall of its chest as Milo sits on the other side. Is it breathing? asks Kenneth. Yeah, answers Milo. She has a heart and a heartbeat. She's going to eat, drink, and even go to the bathroom and pass gas. Milo touches her cheek. This is real skin, real flesh. It needs everything our own bodies need. If she's cut, she'll bleed. When it heals, there'll be a scar. She's been programmed to love you, but she'll possess all human emotions. There's robotic strength under there, so she's been programmed to protect and value human life, as well as protect herself and you. Kenneth touches its hair. It's soft and real, not synthetic. He touches its cheek. It's real, living skin, soft and warm. What do I do? To activate her, answers Milo. Put this ring on her left ring finger. Tell her who you are. Ask her to wake up. Remember to seem concerned because she fainted. She's your fiancé, so remember to throw in a term of endearment like honey or something. And you have to use her first name. She'll answer to Wisdom or Wise. Kenneth takes the engagement ring from Milo and slides it into place. Wisdom, it's Kenny. Sweetheart, do you hear me? Wise, wake up. Wisdom's eyes flutter open. Her pupils contract in response to the light in the room. Kenneth notices the contraction. It has real eyes, real lovely warm brown eyes. She pushes her fingers through his hair and smiles warmly. Kenny! The voice isn't synthesized. It's made by real vocal cords. Kenny, what happened? You fainted, he answers. Fainted, she questions. Flat out, confirms Milo. Wisdom looks at Milo. Milo, Kenny's best friends. We're at Milo's, right? We're supposed to go to dinner, right? That's right, confirms Kenneth. Yeah, adds Milo. We're just waiting for Eppie to come home. Wisdom sits up and takes a deep breath and looks around. How do you feel? Asks Kenneth. Silly, answers Wisdom. I can't believe I fainted. You just got out of the hospital, Milo tells her. There's nothing for you to feel silly about. We're just glad you're okay. Do you need anything? I could use a drink of water, answers Wisdom. Well, let's head to the kitchen and get you a glass of water, says Milo. Kenneth stands and steps back. Kenneth stands and steps back. He watches it grab the purse as it gets to its feet. It looks unsure of itself, so he takes its hand, and they follow Milo to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Milo hands Wisdom a cold glass of water. He's pleased with the results of the upgrade, and even more pleased with his best friend's reaction. Kenneth can barely take his eyes off of her, and they both watch her drink down the glass of water. How's that? Asks Milo. Better, answers Wisdom. May I have another? Sure. Milo takes the glass and refills it. Kenneth sits and pulls it out, Kenneth sits and pulls it onto his lap. Thank you, Wisdom. Wisdom accepts back the glass of water and takes a sip, then sits the glass on the table. Come here, Kenneth, tipping its chin slightly up. Then he tastes its full lips. They're just as soft and yielding as they look. He never kissed Molly. The synthetic lips wouldn't have been soft and yielding. Molly's mouth was only good for one thing, and Molly's mouth wouldn't have responded to a kiss unless it was told to. Wisdom responds naturally. Kenneth cups her breast. Wisdom stops his hand with her own soft petite hand and says, embarrassed, Kenny, Milo's right there. Kenneth smiles, amused and sexy. Milo doesn't mind. Do you, Milo? Nope, answers Milo, grinning widely. Sometimes I like to watch. Wisdom gives Milo an irritated look as she tells both men, well, I mind. Kenneth is further amused. The damn thing is modest. Besides, Wisdom looks Kenneth in the eyes. I know I've been in the hospital a month, and you've missed me, but the doctor said we're supposed to wait 6 weeks total to make sure I'm healed up properly. That's just a couple more weeks. You've already waited a month. A couple more weeks won't kill you. Okay, says Kenneth. I'll be a good boy. For now, he thinks to himself. Eppie walks in. Sorry to keep all of you waiting. She knows her part in all of this. Milo's informed her thoroughly. She's to be its friend. Wise, you look wonderful for a woman who just spent a month in the hospital. Come give me a hug. Wives gives Eppie a hug. Kenneth watches curiously as it closes its eye in obvious appreciation of the hug. You must be starving, Eppie tells Wise. Hospital food is the worst. I can eat, shares Wise. I won't miss the hospital's food. Well, let's go, says Eppie. Milo and I will take my car. You guys just follow us in yours. About 30 minutes later, they're all sitting down together in an Asian cuisine restaurant. You know, Wise tells Eppie, you got home just in time to save me from these two pervs. How's that? Asks Eppie. This one was trying to molest me in your kitchen, and that one was going to watch. Eppie laughs. Yep, those are our two men. Perverted and perverted-er. Hey, says Milo, I'm a provert. I am completely pro-perversion. Kenneth participates in the conversation as needed. Mostly he watches and listens in fascination. Wisdom seems to enjoy her soup and salad. So what all do the doctors say? Asks Eppie. Physically, I'm fine, answers Wise. I'm making a full recovery. But I've got amnesia. A little amnesia, the man said. I don't know how amnesia's supposed to work. Everything's not missing. I know who I am. I know this man is I know who this man is, that he's my fiancé and I love him. But there are these huge chunks missing, like nearly all of my childhood. There are some little bits too, like for the life of me, I can't remember what I had for lunch before we left the hospital. But they said not to worry about it. It could all come rushing back to me all at once, or in little flashes, or it may never come back. Just poof, gone. By the way, thanks for the flowers you sent. They were lovely. It was nothing, Eppie waving it away, knowing it's a false memory. We're just glad you're okay, adds Milo. Glad you like them. And Kenny's parents were awesome, Wise continues. They came by nearly every day to see me. Still miss my own parents, though, but I'm so grateful for Kenny's. A tear wells up and out of Wise's eyes. Awestruck, Kenny smooths it from her cheek with his thumb. I'm sorry, Wise apologizes. Where's the little girl's room in this place? I'll show you, Eppie volunteers. She takes Wise's hand, and Kenny can see her consoling Wise as they walk to the restroom. It thinks it has parents, says Kenny. Had. Past tense, clarifies Milo. They died in a shuttle crash years ago. Sorry I forgot to tell you that. Donna and Oscar. But you weren't close to them. They didn't think you were good enough for her. But I see my parents conveniently had a close, loving relationship with her written into its programming. Kenny, irritated. Milo shrugs. I like her. She's got a cool sense of humor. Chapter 4. There are 2 cars in the drive. When Kenny pulls in, he recognizes one as his parents' vehicle. The other he's never seen before. Wise points to the foreign vehicle. Did you remember to take her in for her scheduled maintenance for me? She asked him. My parents got it its own car? He wonders to himself. Then he wonders, can it even drive? I took care of it, says Kenneth's dad, Henry. Pop, says Wise happily, as if she's been calling the man that for years. The elder Samuels opens his arms and Wise walks into them. Henry Samuels looks at his son over her head and winks at his son. Then he kisses Wisdom's forehead. Go on up into the house. Mama's inside. Kenny and I will grab your bags. Okay, Pop. And Wisdom trots up the stairs and steps inside. What do you think? Asked Henry. Do you like it? Slinging the duffel bag over his shoulder. Kenny grabs the suitcase. Still feeling things out. It seems a little emotional. Well, explains Henry, according to her memories, she's been through a very traumatic event. Lost a baby and nearly died. The hospital was very apologetic. Waived all its fees for her care. She'll settle down. And it said something about needing to wait a couple of weeks before we can have sex. When a woman has a baby, Henry explains, it takes about 6 weeks or so for her to recover fully. So a doctor would have told her that. Of course, she hasn't actually had a baby and is physically fine for sex, but maybe you should go along with what she said and wait a couple of weeks before you begin having sex with her. So how long does it think we've been together? Asked Kenny. You've known each other since you were children of about 8. You started seeing each other in your teens, but it was on again, off again, until after her parents died in the shuttle crash. Then you asked her to move in with you after that. A couple of years after she moved in, you asked her to marry you, but you've yet to set a wedding date. You've been engaged for about 5 years. The pregnancy was a result of birth control failure. She's been programmed with a college education. She has her own accounts, a driver's license, even a birth certificate. That's real flesh and blood. It can get an infection or even catch a cold. Instead of thinking of her as a toy, try thinking of her as a pet. And pets need love and attention and care. There's a 6-week checkup scheduled for her in 2 weeks. Your mother and I will swing by and pick her up for it. With a real doctor? Asked Kenny. Yes, answers Henry. He's anxious to see how real she is. It's supposed to be nearly impossible to tell. She's not a real person. The only way to tell is supposed to be an X-ray, which would show her titanium alloy skeleton. Kenneth nods to his father, and both men step inside. Kenneth immediately notices his picture. His parents have placed pictures around the computer-generated pictures of him with wisdom around the house. Of wisdom with what must be her parents, etc. He can hear it and his mother talking in the kitchen. Mom, I just feel so lost, Wise tells his mother. I don't even remember if I had a boy or a girl. I don't want you to worry about that, his mother tells it. If you remember, fine. If you don't ever remember, fine. But we packed up all the baby stuff and put it in storage. We didn't want you to have to deal with that when you got home from the hospital. Thanks, Mom, and it hugs his mother. No thanks required, his mother tells it. We love you. Take those bags to the bedroom, she directs her son and husband, and we'll help Wise settle back in. His mother holds its hand as they walk to his bedroom with its bags. The doctor said you may be a bit disoriented for a while from the amnesia, his mother tells it. But don't you worry. You'll feel at home again in no time. Now, here's your side of the closet. That's your side of the bed. Your nightstand. Here's the master bathroom. Washer dryer here. And these 3 baskets stacked here are for, I think I remember this, says Wise. Soiled whites, brights, and darks. If they're kept separate to begin with, then you don't have to separate them when it's time to wash. Wonderful, his mother pats its hand. See, you remember what you need to. Anything you can't remember, you probably don't need. Then she gives it a reassuring hug. Do you want us to help you put your things away? His mother asks. No, answers Wise. I'll do it myself, thanks. His father plops the duffel bag down onto the bed. Then he kisses its forehead. We'll let you get settled back in. Then we'll have you over for dinner in a couple of days. Call if you need anything. Thank you, Pop, says Wise gratefully. Thank you too, Mom. I'd be lost without you. We'll see you again. We'll see you again soon, his mother tells it. Come on, Kenny, his father requests. Walk me and your mother out to the car. Kenny follows his parents. When they're outside, his mother says, the robot knows how to say thank you, but not our son. Don't you like the upgrade? It was very expensive. His parents have enough money to qualify as a small, independent world. They rarely complain about things being expensive. Just like he had already inherited enough money that he could blow thousands at a time gambling, and it didn't affect his well-being. But he's not sure his grandfather would appreciate it. His parents were definitely concerned about some of his bad habits. And after losing his favorite house, he won't be betting anything that has sentimental value to him anymore. But he usually won more than he lost. After standing silent for a long moment with his parents by their car, Kenny says, I think it's a cyborg now instead of a robot. And it's a cool gift. I'm just not sure I like it yet. Haven't given it a proper test drive yet. His mother gives him a sour look. Is that all you think about? Kenny shakes his head. I also like drinking and gambling, and occasionally I'm in the mood to work. His mother kisses his cheek, and he kisses hers. Love you, Mom. Love you too, Pop. He kisses his father's cheek. We'll be calling you to come for dinner in a couple of days, his father. We'll be calling you to come to dinner in a couple of days. His father gets into the driver's seat, and they pull away. This house is bigger and fancier than the house he lost in the poker game. The first floor is all about fitness and recreation. There's an Olympic-sized swimming pool, a hot tub, and a steam room, along with a room with a billiard table and a poker table, of course. Then there's a room with free weights, resistance equipment, a treadmill, and a stepper. The living, dining, kitchen, den, master bedroom, plus 3 other bedrooms are all on the second floor of the house. The house he lost in the poker game was cozier. Kenneth steps into his master bedroom. It seems to have finished putting away its things. The bathroom door is shut, and he hears the toilet flush. The water runs in one of the 2 sinks. He strips off his clothes, letting them fall to the floor. He can hear it brushing its teeth. He walks across the hall and relieves himself in that bathroom, comes back and climbs in bed. Wife steps out of the master bath. She shakes her head at the sight of his clothes on the floor and starts to pick them up. Kenny watches it curiously. It changed into one of his old t-shirts, which is extra long on it. It's very shapely, ample breast, round hips, heart-shaped bottom. It's thick and shapely, the way a woman should be, and Kenny appreciates that. When it grabs his underwear off the floor, it gets a funny look on its face. Kenny asks, "What's wrong?" Wise responds with a question of her own. "Are you naked?" "Yeah," Kenny answers with a nefarious grin. "Be nice if you were naked too." "I know I'm supposed to know this, but do you always sleep naked?" "Yep." Wise's mouth makes an O, and Kenny smiles amused. Wise carries his clothes into the bathroom and puts his dirty clothes into the correct dirty clothes baskets. She whispers to herself, "It's all right. You're his fiancé. You've been together for years. Known each other since childhood. You were having his baby. Get a grip." "Wise," Kenny calls. "Wisdom. Sweetheart, come to bed." Wise steps out of the bathroom and stands there looking at her fingers. "What's wrong?" asks Kenny. "I'm nervous. I can't remember, or rather sleeping in the same bed with you. I know we have, but I don't remember. And you're naked over there." It's blushing. Kenny can hardly believe it. It's actually blushing. Kenny pats the bed. "Come on." Wise takes a deep breath. She steps over to the bed and sits on the edge. She sits there for a long moment with her back to Kenny. Then she curls up on the edge, pulling the pillow under her head. She doesn't attempt to pull any blankets over herself because he's naked over there on his side of the bed underneath the blankets. "Lights off," she calls, and the room goes dark. Kenny gives his eyes time to adjust. He's more than a little amused as he spends a minute watching it breathe and try to curl up smaller. He reaches over, gets it by the waist, and pulls it to him. "Kenny! Kenny!" putting a hand to his chest. He can hear fear in its voice. "It's okay," he tells it. "I'm not going to hurt you. I just need to touch you." He kisses it. "I need to taste you, smell you, feel your body against mine. I've been stuck in this bed by myself for a whole month. Missing your body. Missing you. But Kenny, the doctor said. I know what the doctor said, but I need you. Please. If it hurts in any way, just tell me and we'll stop, okay? Okay. Wise agrees, still nervous and scared. Kenny doesn't waste time. He doesn't want it to change its mind. He has it naked and beneath him in less than a minute. Kenny finds himself watching it sleep. He decides he will thank his parents. He didn't know sex could be that good. He had thoroughly enjoyed the way it responded to him. He's sure its responses were part of its programming, but it was still incredible. If he wanted a reaction from Molly, he had to tell it what to do. He even had to tell Molly to lubricate. Wise even orgasmed for him. He's never had a woman orgasm for him before, but he's never actually cared if they orgasmed. He hadn't known the female orgasm would make his own better. Chapter 5. The first thing Kenny notices when he wakes up in the morning is that he's in bed by himself, and he woke up ready to play with wisdom. In the bathroom, despite the fact that he tells himself, cleaned up behind itself, he can still tell it had a shower. His bathroom sinks are now his and her sinks. He knows his mom did that. His parents have obviously been planning this gift for a while. He checks out the feminine things now organized by the right side of the sink, a caddy of makeup, something it doesn't need. It's beautiful all on its own. Deodorant, moisturizer, perfume. He peeks under her. It's sink. And with the moisturizing shampoo and conditioner, there are feminine products. Tampons, panty liners, and 3 different sizes of menstrual pads. It can't possibly need those. It is not real. It's not a real woman. Kenneth shakes his head. His parents must be losing their minds, he thinks as he relieves himself at the urinal. He flushes and takes a quick shower. After toweling off and slipping on some boxer briefs, he finds Wise in the kitchen. It's standing at the stove making breakfast. Its hair is still damp. It's wearing a satin pale pink robe that stops at its knees. He slides its hair aside and kisses its neck by the hickey he left last night. Good morning, Wise greets him. Breakfast is almost ready. He can see it blushing in response to his attention. He didn't know it was possible for a woman to blush so prettily. Must be something it's programming. You are absolutely gorgeous, he tells Wise as he takes a seat at the table. Wise shakes her head as she sets up breakfast on the table. What? Asks Kenny. Why are you shaking your head? I don't agree with you, explains Wise. Maybe I'm cute, possibly slightly pretty, but nowhere near gorgeous or beautiful. I'm too short. I'm a good 14 kilos. That's about 30 pounds. Overweight from the pregnancy. You don't see anyone that looks like me on a web mag ad. And when men buy themselves a sex bot, they almost always get it with fair skin, fair hair, and light eyes. The opposite of me. Kenny chokes on the pomegranate juice she poured for him. That part about the sex bot surprised him. But it's right. Men are the primary buyers of sex bots, and that's what they usually get. It's what he had his original Playbot upgraded to. And if Milo had given him a choice for this upgrade, he would have stayed with the same peripherals. He wouldn't have even considered looking at what was available in other skin, hair, and eye colors. Now he's glad no one gave him a choice, because he would have missed out on something special. "Come here," Kenny requests as he scoots his chair back from the table. "What?" asks Wise, cutting her French toast. "Just come here, please." Wise rolls her eyes, gets up from her seat, and steps over to Kenny. He pulls her onto his lap and turns his face towards his. "Listen," he tells her. "I love your body. I love how curvy and soft it is. I've never been hot for any other woman the way I am for you. So, don't you go trying to get skinny on me." That has been one of the main problems for Kenny. Most women were too skinny. Ribs and hip bones just turned him off. He continues, "A woman should not be skinny like a young boy. And your average man is dumb as a post. We think we know what we want and what we need. We usually get it by accident. And when we get it, what we really want or need, we're surprised because if we had been asked, our own answers wouldn't have even been close. And you're beautiful, gorgeous, bewitching, and cute on top of all of that. A few minor imperfections doesn't make it not so. And I say it is so." Kenny kisses Wise, a slow, deep savoring of her mouth. His hand slides under her robe to squeeze her thigh, and she hisses in pain. He parts the lower half of her robe. The peach short style cut panties would be a delicious sight if he wasn't focused on her bruised inner thighs. And he realizes she can feel pain. "Why didn't you tell me I was hurting you?" he asks, feeling guilty. He's not sure why he feels guilty. It's not a real person, right? Wise answers, "In the heat of the moment, I really wasn't feeling much pain, or at least not enough to say something because you seem so needy, so desperate, and I love you so much. It's just a couple of bruises that'll be sore for a couple of days." "I'm sorry." He's not sure why he's apologizing, except that he does mean it, and he wonders if sincerity can really be programmed. Is it possible to program in soulful, loving eyes? Then he remembers that he bit her breast. He pushes one side of the upper half of her robe to the side and says, "Damn." It's bruised, red, and swollen. There are slick scabs where his teeth broke the skin. Wise puts her hand over the painful bite. "Yeah, that really hurt." Why hadn't Milo told him she could feel pain? He knows it really hurt when he bit her because she had yelped and jerked when he bit her. But he had been so deeply involved in his own enjoyment of her body, he hadn't thought or even considered that it was possible to hurt her. Milo knows he usually does his best to avoid thinking. Wise wraps her arms around his neck and says, "Don't look so serious. So you got a little carried away. No permanent harm done." Kenny hugs her to himself, burying his face in her neck and hair. Last night when he held her, it was the same as a child hugging his or her favorite teddy bear as they slept. But this hug is different. It's the hug you give someone you care for but hurt accidentally, and you're sorry. Kenneth is not the introspective type. So as the next few months go by, he's not noticing how happy and content he is with wisdom. But his parents and his best friend and his girlfriend have noticed. He hasn't gotten drunk, nor gone out gambling, nor partied it up in any way for nearly 3 months. They've had dinner with his parents at least once a week, and since his parents have stopped nagging him about giving up his toy and finding a real woman, It's made having dinner with his parents a pleasant experience. He no longer dreads having to talk to or spend time with his parents. And at least once a week, they get together with Milo and Eppie. Sometimes for dinner, sometimes for dancing. Kenny was surprised by Wise's natural sense of rhythm, or at least it seems natural. It barely took days for Kenny. It barely took 2 days for Kenny to stop thinking of Wise as an it. He's been going to Milo's shop and working 3 to 4 days a week. He's actually half owner of Milo's shop. He doesn't need the money, but it's Milo's livelihood, and Milo is usually stuck running things by himself. Kenny's mother likes to drag Wise shopping with her, but Wise doesn't mind. Just like Wise doesn't mind helping Eppie study or helping around Milo's shop. She'll happily do whatever needs to be done, and she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. Milo has one room in the shop that he keeps locked. She asked him what's in there, but he had simply responded, "Stuff." Chapter 6. Tonight's dinner with Kenny's parents is supposed to be special because Kenny's great uncle, his grandfather's younger brother, is returning from living off-world. But Kenneth fell off the wagon last night. Duke called him last night. "Kenny, my man, where have you been? Haven't seen you in over 3 months. And you haven't called and arranged any poker parties. Are you sick or something?" No, I'm fine. I've just been busy." "Too busy to hang out with your best buds?" asked Duke. "I've just been preoccupied. That's all." "Kenny," Wise had called. "Kenny, I need..." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your call." And she stepped back out of the room. "Who was that?" asked Duke, smiling crookedly. "Nobody you know," answered Kenny, annoyed. "I know what's going on," Duke told Kenny with a sly smile. "You've met a woman, and she's got you pee-whipped already. Bet she made you get rid of your favorite sex bot and everything. You got it all wrong." "Listen," Duke told Kenny smoothly. "I understand. You're not the first guy this has happened to. I understand the little woman won't let you come out and play. I can still go out anytime I want." "Can you?" "Of course I can." "Then how about tonight? Can you come out and play tonight, Kenny boy?" "Yes, of course." "I'll pick you up in about an hour." Duke smiling as he had ended the call. Duke had deliberately pushed all of Kenny's "I'm the man" buttons, confusing and frustrating Kenny, making him feel like he had something to prove. Kenny had sought Wise out in this state of mind. He found her in the kitchen preparing to make dinner, stripped her naked right there in the kitchen, and handled her roughly. As he leaned over her, catching his breath, Wise asked him, "What's wrong?" "Nothing," he answered, pulling away from her. Wise knew something was wrong. As she picked up their clothes from the kitchen floor, she didn't know what was wrong, just that Kenny had been fine before his call with the bald man in the dark sunglasses. She glimpsed him when she accidentally interrupted their call. She carried the clothes to their bathroom. Kenny was in the shower. She put their dirty clothes into the correct dirty clothes baskets, according to color, then put on her robe, and sat on the edge of the bed wondering what was bothering Kenny, wondering how or if she could help him. Kenny dressed hastily, and Wise said, "I know something's wrong. Is there anything I can do?" No. Did I do something? That look of distressed concern on her face wasn't fair. It made his heart ache. It wasn't fair that she could make him feel like that when her feelings weren't real. But he answered, "No, it's not you." And he kissed her. Duke beeped his car horn. Kenny furrowed his brow. "I'm going out," Kenny told Wise, walking away from her. "Don't wait up." Wisdom followed him outside, but not down the steps. The man from the call was behind the wheel of the car. The man's smile sent a chill down Wisdom's back. She didn't want Kenny to go with this man, but she watched helplessly as Kenny got into his car. "Nice piece," Duke told Kenny as he leered at Wisdom. "If I had a petite little piece like that, I wouldn't mind spending more time at home. She's a little thick for my taste, but that's actually supposed to make the sex better." Kenny's response was, "Bones are for dogs. Steak is for men, and I'm a man, and I like my steak thick." Duke laughed at Kenny's response and drove Kenny to the house he won from him, just to rub salt in the wound. Kenny didn't like the changes he saw made to the cozy 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. He would have preferred to be at the casino in one of the private poker rooms. He was uncomfortable, even though there wasn't anything going on here he hadn't seen or participated in before. Other players had brought along their sex bots and hoes, plenty of booze and drugs. Kenny has never been into drugs. He accepted a proffered cigar and he drank. He drank, hoping the discomfort he felt would disappear. That this familiar situation stopped feeling foreign. That he'd stop feeling like he shouldn't be here. That he doesn't belong here. Kenny drank heavily. He drank much more than he ever had drank before, because that niggling feeling that he didn't belong there wouldn't go away. And he's not a good gambler when he's drunk. Plus, Duke would not stop poking at him about his piece. "Come on, man," Duke insisted. "Tell us her name." "Wisdom," he finally answered. "Wisdom," Duke repeated with a sly smile. "I sure could use me some wisdom." Duke tried to pick more information from Kenneth about Wisdom, like where was she from? How did he meet her? How long had he known her? How old was she? Etc. But Kenneth was tight-lipped. He just kept drinking and making bad wagers. Finally sick of Duke and the others teasing and prying, Kenneth blurted out angrily, "She's not real. She's a gift from my parents, a sex bot upgrade. So, could you all just drop it? Just drop it." Duke found this very interesting. She had looked like a real female to him, but he was a good distance away. Sometimes you couldn't tell the difference until you were right up on one, close enough to see, smell, and feel that the skin and hair were synthetic. So Duke left it alone for a little while. Kenny got drunker and drunker by the minute, and he was losing. Duke had already won a whole house from Kenny, and he was curious as to what else he could get out of Kenny this night other than money. When Duke thought the timing was right, he said, "Let's make things interesting, Kenny. I've won enough of your money tonight. What say you throw in your new toy?" "No way, are you crazy? If I lost Wisdom in a poker game, my parents would never forgive me. She was really expensive." Duke knew it wasn't often Kenny used the word expensive. The man had so much money, the God came to him when he needed a loan. But he wasn't gonna put up his toy, so Duke changed the request. Fine. You win this hand, and you can do whatever you want with any of my toys or hoes. I win this hand. Then I get to play with your toy when I take you home. Kenny shrugged. All right. And belched. Duke was excited as he drove Kenny home. He was anxious to try out Kenny's upgraded toy. And deep down in the pit of his stomach, Kenny was sick. Not because he drank too much, and he had. He was sick at the thought of what he'd done. Bet Wisdom, or rather the use of her, like she was property. But she is property, isn't she? Except she doesn't feel like property. And he was sick at the thought of this man touching her intimately. And angry. Kenneth was seething. As they stepped inside the house, Duke asked, So where does it sit in charge? She should be in bed. Kenny led the way. Lamps on, and the lamps in the master bedroom came on. Wisdom stirred in her sleep, and Kenny motioned toward her. Duke was confused as he walked around to where what was supposed to be a sex bot was laying in bed. He was confused because a sex bot wouldn't lay in bed to charge, and it certainly wouldn't bother to close its eyes to charge. Then he noticed the rise and fall of her chest, and he knows sex bots don't breathe. He could see the skin and hair are real, not synthetic, and only a real woman smelled this good. He spotted the engagement ring on her finger as he touched her silky hair. Then he touched her cheek, and her eyes fluttered open. Wisdom shrieked in surprised fear. Oh! Then she quickly scooted away from the man, discovering she was still in bed by herself. She spotted Kenny and scampered over to him. Kenny! Thank God! Kenny, drunk and angry, grabbed her by the hair, which elicited another shocked, frightened yelp from her. With an unhappy sneer, he told her, I lost a bet, and shoved her toward Duke. Wisdom stumbled but didn't fall. She backed away from the strange man into the wall. He placed his hands on the wall on both sides of her. He hovered over her, inhaling her delicious scent and admiring the ample breast under the t-shirt. How do you know Kenny? Duke asked. I'm his fiancé. We've known each other since we were children. How long have you been engaged? 5 years, Wise answered. I'm sorry I've frightened you. This is just a really bad joke. Kenny's really, really drunk, and I'm pretty drunk too. He stepped away from Wise, and she slid down to the floor in tears. Duke stepped over to Kenny. That's not even funny, Kenny. I don't do rape. If you're tired of her, just tell her. Don't torture her. She's a lady, not a hoe or a sex bot. Nobody puts a rock like that on the finger of a toy. Not funny, man. Not funny. And Duke left. Confused and angry, Kenny stood over Wisdom. She slid back up from the floor, not knowing what to expect, nor what to do. Confusing questions slung themselves through Kenny's head. Why wasn't the gambling and partying fun anymore? Why wasn't he interested in any of the toys or females at the party? What was happening to him? His thoughts during the poker game had been all about Wisdom. He couldn't focus on his game because he kept thinking about how roughly he'd handled her before he left. He had been careful not to bruise her or hurt her in any way, but he still hadn't been nice. And he had left without much of an explanation. Left her standing there looking worried and confused. Could she really be feeling anything? It was all just part of her programming, right? Nothing she was feeling was real, right? She's just a fancy toy, right? Then why did he feel bad about the way he treated her earlier? Why did he feel guilty about offering use of her as part of a wager? Why did he feel like a cruel bastard for grabbing her by the hair and shoving her toward Duke? Why did the thought of Duke or any other man touching her bother him so badly? She's not real, he thought to himself. She's just a fancy toy for his entertainment, for his enjoyment and pleasure, he thought to himself. In his drunken, confused, angry haze, Kenny decided to prove it to himself. That Wisdom was nothing more than a toy for his use. He grabbed Wisdom with both hands by the hair. Wisdom cried out in shock and pain and begged, "Kenny, please, you're hurting me." He shoved her down onto the bed and pushed himself between her legs. And when Wisdom realized what he was about to do, she begged again. "Oh God, Kenny, don't! Not like this! Please don't touch me like this!" Then he passed out on top of her. Wisdom covered her mouth with one hand to muffle her crying as she pulled the fingers of her other hand through his beautiful smooth black hair. She didn't get much sleep. She wondered if this was something that had ever happened before. Was this something that had been blocked out by the amnesia? But she couldn't block out his mumbling through the night. He mumbled something about it wasn't fair. He loved her, but she couldn't love him, leaving Wisdom wondering how he could possibly think she didn't love him. Chapter 7. It was nearly noon when Kenny finally woke up. He rolled off the Wisdom with a groan. Wisdom quickly rolled away from him and off the bed. She ran into the closet, grabbing her duffel bag, and started shoving things in it. "What are you doing?" Kenny asked, confused. "Leaving," Wisdom answered firmly. Kenny scoffed. "You can't leave me." "The hell I can't." "Kenneth Ian Samuels, I am not your property. I am not some sex bot or whore you can loan out to cover your gambling debts. And I am not going to be treated as such." The memories from the previous night rushed into his hazy hungover head. No wonder he was still in his clothes, and his mouth felt like he'd chewed on a dead rat. He stepped into the closet with her and dumped her duffel bag out onto the floor. Her angry response was, "You jackass!" It was the first time he'd heard her curse, and if circumstances were different, he would have found it amusing. But his fiancée, sexbot, toy, whatever she was trying to leave him, which just seemed asinine to him. But he wasn't going to try to argue with her, so he tossed her over his shoulder. "Put me down," Wise demanded. "You reek of smoke and booze and God knows what else. Put me down." Kenneth ignored her protests and demands as he carried her into the master bathroom, where with her over his shoulder, he promptly rinsed the dead rat taste out of his mouth with mouthwash. He started the shower and managed to slip out of his clothes with her over his shoulder. Then he stepped into the shower with her still on his shoulder. Kenneth stood wise on her feet in front of him, and she demanded, "Let me go." But he didn't let her go. Instead, he pulled her against him and held her. He told her, "I'm sorry. I had way too much to drink. I can't explain my actions. I don't know what I was thinking. The wager wasn't my idea, but I still shouldn't have agreed to it. I was drunk out of my mind. I'm sorry. I love you, and it won't happen again." She didn't look like she believed him, but he gently covered her mouth with his own anyway. She was stiff for a few moments, but she finally relaxed in his arms and yielded to him. Then, a minute later, her wet t-shirt and underwear hit the floor outside the shower. But things remained tense for the rest of the day. Kenneth barely let Wise leave his sight, and he hid her car keys because she had been serious about leaving him. He touched her frequently just to assure himself, made love with her a few more times just to assure himself that he still could, and she was still his. Yet, as he drives them to his parents for dinner, things are quiet. "You look beautiful," Kenny breaking the silence. "Thank you. Is that a new dress?" "Your mother bought it for me." Kenny nods as he parks the car. His mother had picked out a dress that was very flattering on Wisdom. He rushes to the passenger side, opens the door, and helps her from the car. He retains her hand until his parents greet them. Then his parents introduce them to his great-uncle Phineas, James Samuels. Phineas's eyes twinkle merrily as he shakes Wisdom's hand. She tilts her head as she looks up at him and asks, "Mr. Samuels, have we met before?" "No, my dear. I've been off-world doing research for quite some time, long before Kenny was born. And no need to be so formal. We're family. Uncle Phineas is fine." Kenny finds himself bothered by his great-uncle's merry twinkling eyes because the man can't hardly take those old wise eyes off his Wise. And all through dinner, Wise listens attentively to the old man. Kenny didn't know he had it in him to be jealous. And his jealousy seems ridiculous. It's not like the old man is going to run off and have an affair with his cyborg. After dinner, Kenny's mother pulls him aside and asks what's wrong. Kenny shakes his head and lies. Nothing. His mother knows it's a lie and narrows her eyes at him. Kenny responds to the look with, "I just don't want to talk about it." He watches Wise laugh at one of the old man's jokes. She hasn't laughed like that at any of his jokes. A couple of times she was right out disgusted. Then that need to touch her hits him. So Kenny walks over and reaches his hand into her hair. But he catches Wisdom off guard. She flinches in fear and breaks into tears. Kenny's mother intercepts and leads Wise away, taking her to a guest bedroom to pull herself together, and where Wise will tell her what's wrong. Kenny's father waits for the women to be out of eyesight and earshot. Then he tells Kenny, "Spill it." Kenny is flustered as he tries to explain. "Duke called me yesterday, asking me why I hadn't been out and stuff. Wise walked in and he saw her. He accused me of being pee-whooped. I went out, but I wasn't having any fun. I drank a lot. The guys kept ribbing me. I lost a lot of money. Most of it's fuzzy because I drank so much. But I told them Wisdom wasn't real, that she was just a fancy upgrade. Duke wanted me to wager her. I had enough sense not to do that, but he talked me into wagering, letting him try her out." "Oh my God, you didn't," his father said, shocked. "He didn't hurt her. He was pissed at me. He thought it was a bad joke. He thought she was real. He didn't hurt her, but I think I did. I remember grabbing her by the hair and forcing her down onto the bed, but I don't know what happened next. I woke up on top of her." Kenny's mother returns angry and upset. "You took that filth home to her last night. You nearly raped her. She's talking About leaving you. Kenny throws his hands in the air. She can't leave me. I own her. She's not real. She is real, Phineas tells Kenny solemnly. Sonia, do your best to assure her that this will never happen again. Kenny's mom does as Phineas says. Phineas opens an ancient pocket watch and shows it to Kenny. Across from the watch face is a picture of wisdom. She was my wife, Phineas informs Kenny. When people die young, it just doesn't seem right. But what if you could give someone you loved a second chance? Wouldn't you do it? There's some genetic memory involved, so we keep their basic history the same. Our baby was stillborn. Wise was 2 weeks overdue. They induced labor. First, they gave her too much of the contraction inducer. Our baby was crushed by the contractions while inside her body. When the baby's heart stopped, they rushed her for an emergency C-section. She made it through the C-section only to be accidentally overdosed on a powerful painkiller that was meant for someone else. So her skeleton's a lightweight titanium alloy. Okay, there's a positronic brain underneath her human one. She has a human brain? Kenny questions. Yes, confirms Phineas. Just like she has a heart and lungs. But the human brain is in charge, not the positronic one. Everything she feels is genuine, not dictated by programming. Why hasn't she needed to charge? Asked Kenny. Her old battery for her robotic parts was replaced by a lifetime lithium battery, explains Phineas. Good for 125 years. She's not your property. She has free will, and she will leave you if you don't treat her right. You've broken her trust in you. It will take time to rebuild. You've got something special. Don't throw it away. Your parents may think of her as their gift to you, but you're my gift to her. Don't make me regret my decision. Kenny pushes his fingers through his hair. I guess I should go talk to her. Kenny steps into the bedroom where he finds Wisdom lying on the bed with her head on his mother's lap. Mom, I need to talk with Wisdom. His mother gives him a stern warning look and vacates the room. Kenny lays on the bed facing Wisdom. You're right, he tells her. I'm a jackass. But something like that has never happened before, and it will never happen again. I love you, and I don't know what possessed me exactly. Some macho male ego stuff mixed with some grief. He doesn't mean grief as in related to the recent loss of a child. And he nearly lost her too, because that never actually happened to them. But grief over realizing he wasn't the same man. Grief over the loss of what he thought was freedom. Because the person he's become since he brought Wisdom home was just beneath the surface, waiting for the chance to break free. His previous life of gambling, drinking, smoking, and emotionless sex wasn't freedom at all. It was a trap that kept him from being truly happy. Please don't leave me, Wisdom, Kenny implores sincerely. I know I've screwed up big time. I'll probably never be able to make it up to you. But do you love me enough to forgive me and give me another chance? Wisdom looks unsure as she responds. I'm kinda stuck taking your word that something like this has never happened before. Mom says it never has, too. And I trust Mom. Kenny hates that the old man is right, that he has broken her trust in him. But he listens intently as she continues. Forgiving you isn't a problem because I love you. But I don't think I'll ever forget. You passed out on me. You muttered and mumbled off and on throughout the night. You said something about unfair or not fair, and something about not or won't or can't love you. How can you doubt in any way that I love you? I love you enough to forgive you and give you another chance. But you're on probation. Kenny smiles and kisses her. Then he holds her for a while. And for a couple of weeks, things are fine. Even better than fine. They're wonderful. Chapter 8. They walk into the market, a happy couple. It's set up similar to a shopping mall. They stop off at the fresh produce store and purchase the fresh fruits and vegetables they need. Wisdom wants fresh cut flowers for the living room vase. So they visit the flower shop. A woman pushing twins in a stroller pauses by them. Oh, they're beautiful, Wisdom gushes over the babies. Kenny, aren't they beautiful? How old are they? 3 months, the mother answers. I'm sorry if we're holding you up, Wisdom apologizes misty-eyed. They're just so beautiful. You've been so blessed. We were having a baby, but we lost it. The mother's heart goes out to the barren woman. Would you like to hold one? Oh, I don't want to impose, says Wisdom. You're not. The woman lifts one of her infants and places it in the barren woman's arms. Thank you. Wisdom bouncing gently with the infant. She talks softly to the infant, telling it how beautiful it is, and the infant smiles and coos for her. Kenneth watches Wisdom, and a wave of sadness washes over Kenny. He'd like to have this with Wisdom. Children, a family, the whole deal. He hadn't realized he wanted those things until just this moment. Except the feminine products under Wise's sink. The tampons, panty liners, the 3 different sizes of maxi pads, remains untouched, unopened. Kenny's eyes well up. If he's ever to have these things, he has to give up Wise. He loves her desperately, but he can't have a family with her. If he's ever going to have a family, children of his own, he has to let go of her. Get her out of his system so he can find someone he can have this with. Kenny turns, his eyes welling over with tears, and walks away. Kenny? Wise calls concerned, but he doesn't answer. She hands the woman back her baby. Thank you so much. I don't mean to be rude, but I need to go. That's okay, the woman responds. He looked very upset. Thank you, and Wise heads in the direction Kenny went. She steps out of the flower shop and spots Kenny exiting the market/mall. Once outside, he jogs quickly to his car. When Wisdom steps outside, she sees Kenny speeding away in his car. Kenny! She yells. She's not sure what to think. She calls his cell phone, but he doesn't answer. So she calls his mother. Hi, Wise, honey, what's going on? Kenny left me. What? What do you mean? Start from the beginning. We were shopping. There was a lady with twins. Kenny got upset and walked out. I called after him, but he got in his car and sped away. Left me standing here. I'm standing outside the market's west entrance by the flower shop. We'll come get you, Sonia signaling to her husband that they have an emergency. Did you try to call him? Yes, but he doesn't answer, Wise says. You just sit tight, dear. Papa and I are on our way. Wisdom sits on a bench and waits. What's wrong? Asked Kenny's father. We have to pick Wise up from the market. Kenny left her. He what? Uncle Phineas shocked. I'll drive, says Kenny's father. Did she call him? Yes, Kenny's mother answers. But he's not answering. All three of them climb into Henry's car. I'll use the speakerphone, announces Kenny's father, Henry, as he pulls out of the driveway. I know what I'm doing, Kenny says, answering his parents' call. Have you lost your mind? Asks his father. Kenny, please, don't do this, his mother begs. You don't know what you're throwing away. Just listen, I can explain. And Kenny shares the revelation he had in the market as he watched Wise hold the baby. He tells them what he wants, but that he believes he can't have it with Wise and why. About how the feminine products under her sink are going unused. He concludes with, if I'm going to have these things, a real wife, children, do the family thing. I can't stay with Wise. I love her, but I can't. He ends the call. She's not having a cycle, says Kenny's father. Uncle Finn, do you think something went wrong with the process? I suppose it's possible, Henry, answers Uncle Phineas. If so, I'm sure it can be fixed. It doesn't matter, says Sonia. She won't take him back after this. All we can do is be there for her, be loving and supportive, be her family, and pray she's not so crushed that she decides to go away. If Kenny's right, says Henry, and she can't have children, maybe it would be better for Kenny if she did go away. No! Shouts Sonia in tears. Don't say that. She's the best thing that ever happened to Kenny, to us as a family. And if she leaves, she'll take our grandchild with her. Sonia, Henry asked, what are you talking about? She's pregnant, Sonia reveals. She hasn't had a cycle yet because he got her pregnant the first month she was home. She was going to announce it at Phineas's welcome home dinner. But Kenny pulled that god-awful stunt the night before, and she decided to wait. She wanted to make sure things were going to be all right between her and Kenny. And now, he does this. And you can't tell Kenny. It's for her to tell him when she's ready. They pull up in front of Wisdom sitting on the bench. Phineas's eyes well up at the sight of her. He's seen that look before on his Wisdom when she was told her parents were dead. Shocked disbelief. Sonia rushes to her and guides her to the car. Wise slides into the back seat with Uncle Phineas. His hand takes hers, and it's comforting, but the tears finally find their way out of her eyes. It's a quiet, silent cry. Wise, Henry tries to assure her. It's going to be okay. Things will work out for the best. The best? Questions Wise. He abandoned me like an unwanted dog. Henry Samuels doesn't know how to respond to that. And a while later, they pull in next to Wise's car at the house she's been sharing with Kenny. But Kenny's car isn't here. Wisdom shakes her head. I can't go in there. Mom and I will run in and get some of your things. Henry climbs in from the car. Mom, Wise calls. My vitamins are under the sink in the master bath, tucked behind the feminine products. I'll grab them, Sonia assures. Then she joins her husband. Inside, they head straight to the master bedroom and its spacious walk-in closet. Together they pack the duffel bag and suitcase Wisdom came home with, plus another travel bag. Is there anything else she needs? Asked Henry. Her vitamins. Sonia rushes into the master bath. She pushes aside the unopened feminine products and grabs the bottle of pills. Henry takes the bottle of pills from his wife and reads the prescription label. They're prenatal vitamins prescribed by her doctor. Part of their plan had gone right. Wisdom is carrying their grandchild. When they get back to the car, Sonia tells Wise, "Give me your keys, sweetie. I'll drive your car." Wise digs her keys out of her pocket and hands it to Sonia. Wisdom enters the home of Henry and Sonia Samuels, looking shocked, dazed, and confused. "Which of the two guest rooms would you like?" asked Henry. "Maybe I shouldn't be here," says Wise. You're Kenny's parents, not mine. Maybe I should rent a suite at the casino." "Nonsense," says Sonia. "We're your family." Wise gives her a weak smile. "You're Kenny's family first. I'm not sure I belong here. He might resent me for it." "Kenny's mind is AWOL," says Henry. "He's going to avoid us because he knows we're upset with him right now." "There's a second bedroom with its own bath in the guest house," reminds Uncle Phineas. "If you don't mind an old man snoring, you could share the guest house with me." Wise nods her head agreeingly. "That way, if Kenny comes by, I have a separate house to retreat to." "Then it's settled," says Phineas. "Let's get you settled in that second bedroom." "I'm a retired scientist, but I like to keep busy, so I've opened a flower and garden shop. Perhaps you could come help me out a couple days a week." "I think it would be good for me to keep busy," says Wise. "I'd be happy to help out." Chapter 9. Wisdom cries herself to sleep every night for the first week. But helping Phineas with his shop is therapeutic for her. After more than a month has gone by, her belly begins to protrude. Sonia deems it time to buy maternity clothes. Henry asks her to call Kenny and tell him, and Wise refuses, along with forbidding him to tell Kenny. Kenny drove for 4 hours to get to the nearest city after he left Wisdom. He went to a dating agency and informed them of what he's looking for: a wife, someone who likes, wants, and is good with children. An agency was how his father found his mother. He begins interviewing women. He's up front. He's looking for a wife and a mother for his future children. They're all either beautiful or really cute. The type of women you would see in a webmag ad. But none of them has that perfect blend of beautiful and cute that Wisdom has. And he knows it's not fair to compare them to Wise. But he can't help it. They're all intelligent, but lack Wise's wit. Many are at least honest enough to admit they don't want to ever be pregnant themselves and risk ruining their figures. Why would they do that when a baby can be grown in a synthetic womb or a surrogate could be hired? But that was unacceptable for Kenny. After more than a month of this, Kenny is frustrated and discouraged. Just when he thinks he may have found one with potential, she always fails the honesty test. Kenny likes to attempt to tell jokes. Wisdom never hesitates to tell him if she didn't get it, if it wasn't funny, or if it was just flat out disgusting or nasty. These women twitter and hee at his worst jokes, telling him he's hilarious when he knows he's not. Then he politely informs them they failed and thanks them for his time. Kenny misses Wisdom terribly and regrets not answering her call as he sped away from the market. He wishes she would call him or at least take or return his calls. He wants to hear her voice, make sure she's okay, and no one will tell him how she is. Not even his best friend Milo. They just keep telling him he's made a huge mistake and that if he wants to know how she is, he should go see her for himself. But Kenneth tortures himself for another month before he decides he's beating a dead horse. He misses Wisdom terribly and has cried himself to sleep nearly as often as she has. He's suffering from loss of appetite and lack of sleep, but he hasn't been drinking, gambling, or partying in any way. Duke has called him a few times, but he hasn't taken his calls. But a message from Duke helps him decide it's time to go back. Duke said, "I saw that hot little fiance of yours the other day working in a new flower shop near the strip. I've always thought that saying about them glowing was a bunch of crap. But she's definitely glowing, and sexier. She seemed really sad, though. If you're tired of her or something, let me know. I'd be happy to take her off your hands. Plus, I've never been with a woman in her condition. Could be interesting." Kenny doesn't want Duke near Wisdom, and the way he left her may have left her vulnerable to a predator like Duke. Is that what Duke meant by condition? How emotionally vulnerable was wise that Duke would call it a condition. Another 4-hour drive to get home. Kenny's house has that stale, stuffy smell homes get when no one's been in them for a while. A good portion of Wise's things are missing from their closet. There are dirty clothes still in 3 stacking baskets. He pulls out his t-shirt that Wise liked to sleep in. It still holds her scent, faint, but still there. He calls his parents, and when his mother answers, he demands, "Where is she?" "Why?" asks his mother. "So you can kick her like a stray dog?" "Mom, please." "Please what? Do you really think she'll take you back after the way you abandoned her?" "Mom, I know I screwed up." "Screwed up? You discarded the best thing that ever happened to you. So did you find what you were looking for?" "No, I already had it. It just took me a while to realize it." "She was made for you, Kenny. Literally. And you threw her away like trash." And then his mother hangs up on him. Kenny can hardly believe his own mother hung up on him. He remembers Duke said something about a new flower shop near the strip. Milo's shop is on the way to the strip. "Kenny!" Milo's surprised to see him. "Didn't think I'd ever see you again." "Oh, look," says Eppie. "It's the bastard. You look like hell. Good." Have you guys seen Wisdom? Kenny's not expecting a straight answer. "That's none of your business," snarks Eppie. "I can't stand the sight of you." And she goes up to the flat. Milo shakes his head. "Man, Kenny, you've really screwed up." "I know that, Milo." "No, Kenny, you don't know. You won't know until you see her." "That's all I want right now. To see her. I really need to see her. Duke left me a message. Something about a flower shop near the strip. Your great uncle opened up a garden and flower shop. Eppie's going to kick my ass for telling you, but she's probably there. If she's not there, she's been staying in the guest house at your parents' with your uncle." "Thanks, Milo." "Kenny, the chances of her taking you back are between slim and none." Kenny doesn't have a response for that. He just leaves and seeks out his uncle's new flower shop. Chapter 10. It's not hard to find. It's actually quite large, with its own expansive greenhouse. A greenhouse in the desert is easy to spot. Kenny spots Wise on the other side of a table of plants helping a customer. It's the first time he's seen her with her hair pulled up into a bun. She's smiling for the customer, but the smile's not reaching her eyes. If you need any more assistance, just let me know, Wise tells the customer. She has spotted Kenny out of the corner of her eye. The plants have kept him from seeing all of her, but she knows he's spotted her and is headed her way. Wise tries to retreat by heading away from Kenny to another section of the shop, but Kenny catches her by the arm. All Wise can do is not face him, because she doesn't want him to see her from the front or side, and she doesn't want to see his face. She doesn't want to have to look him in the eyes. Wise, Kenny says softly, but she doesn't respond. Wise, Kenny's standing behind her. He grips her shoulders gently, hoping the right words will find their way out of his mouth. I've been so stupid. I'll never be able to explain myself properly. It's just like they say, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. I've missed you so badly. I didn't know it was possible to miss someone so badly it made you physically ill. He pulls Wise back against him, inhaling her scent as he puts an arm across the front of her shoulders, hugging her to him. He begins to slide his other arm around her, but his hand finds her belly to be a bit distended. Wisdom jerks and twists away from him, but he catches her by the wrist, and she finds herself facing him. He looks terrible. He's lost weight and looks as if he hasn't slept for days. Kenny is shocked as he stands there holding her gently by the wrist. His other hand comes up to his mouth as his eyes well up with tears. He's wasted more than 2 months and has most likely lost her looking for something he already had. After a moment, Kenny finds his voice. You're pregnant. Wisdom does her best to look angry. Better to look angry than hurt. She's missed him too, but she won't say it. Just like she won't say that she's actually glad to see him. Instead, she says, yes, I'm pregnant. You abandoned your pregnant fiancé like an unwanted dog. She gives her arm a tug, but he retains her wrist. Marry me, requests Kenneth. Wise is confused by the request. She just stares up at him. Please marry me, now. I don't need a prenup. I just need you. I need you to ride over to the chapel with me and marry me, now. Wise is like a deer caught in headlights, and is relieved when she sees Uncle Phineas approach. But Phineas doesn't save her the way she expected. So Phineas tells her, I've listened to you cry yourself to sleep nearly every night for over 2 months. I've heard you cry out for him in your sleep. And from the looks of him, he hasn't done much better. You both love each other. And now Kenny knows he needs you. Now go. Go to the chapel with Kenny. I'll call Henry and Sonia. We'll meet you there. Kenny's hand slips from holding her wrist to holding her hand. Wisdom meets his eyes and simply says, okay. As Kenny walks Wise to his car, Phineas calls Henry and Sonia. As he updates his nephew and niece-in-law, he watches Kenny walk Wise to the passenger side of his car. Kenny kisses Wise slowly and tenderly, then opens the passenger door and helps her into the car. I'll meet you at the chapel. I just have a few customers to shoo out of the shop. The chapel is near the casino, and it's possible to be married there 24 hours a day. Because it basically services people who want to get married now, suits, wedding dresses, and other wedding accessories can be purchased or rented here as well. There's a couple ahead of them and some paperwork to do before they can be married. And while they're waiting, Kenneth's parents arrive, then Milo and Eppie, who were called by Sonia. Eppie steps up to Kenny. I still think you're a bastard. And if you hurt her again, I'll kick your ass. Come on, Eppie. Sonia tugs her arm. We need to find a dress for Wise. Wise rests her hand on her belly. They're not going to have anything that's going to fit me. So while the women are picking out dresses, the men are quickly picking out suits. And just as Wisdom is preparing to walk down the aisle, Uncle Phineas arrives, carrying flowers. He lets Wise's hair down and places a crown of white flowers on her head. Then he hands each woman a bouquet of white flowers. May I have the honor of walking you down the aisle? Phineas asks Wise. With a nod of agreement, Wise answers, I would be honored. Uncle Phineas walks Wisdom down the aisle and gives her away to Kenneth. It's a bittersweet moment for Phineas. The way his wisdom had died motivated him to create the process that produced this wisdom. It was his way of giving his wisdom a second chance at a happy, full life. But it will be a life where he is not her husband, where she completely loves and adores another man, and the children she gives birth to will not be his. When it's time to exchange rings, Kenny nearly has a mini panic attack, but his father quickly produces 2 wedding bands. And as he slips the wedding band onto her finger, Kenny notices she's still wearing the engagement ring he slipped on her finger the first day he saw her lying on the bed at Milo's. At the time, slipping that engagement ring onto her finger hadn't meant anything. She wasn't even a real person to him, just a new toy for him to enjoy. But the fact that she still wore it, after the cruel way he abandoned her, meant a lot to him. And slipping the wedding ring on her petite finger is a memory Kenneth will cherish. Chapter 11. Kenneth has asked himself many deep and confusing questions lately. When does life begin? What exactly is life? What does it take to have a happy life? For this last question, the answer for Kenneth Samuels is wisdom. Kenneth Samuels needs wisdom to have a happy life. And all that matters to him is that she has life and love for him. After the ceremony, they move Wisdom's things back into Kenneth's, and Kenneth finds himself holding her as she takes a nap. His father sits on the edge of the bed to speak to him. You know, some would say that I'm not real because I'm a clone of the man I called father. That I'm just a copy with no life of my own. That's not true, Pop, responds Kenny. No, it's not, agrees Henry. And the same holds true for this incredible woman who is now your wife. Your mother and I were worried about you. You clung to your toy like a toddler to a pacifier or a security blanket, failing to form real attachments with people. We finally decided trying to get you to give up your security blanket wasn't the way. So instead of you having to give it up, we remade it for you, gave it life. You don't have to explain, Pop. I get it. Kenny, resting a hand on Wise's belly, their future child. And thank you. Thank you very much. I love her. I love my wisdom. The end. If you took the time to listen to this, thank you so much for that. I apologize for if the pauses are disturbing. I actually just discovered I could do that. But I really appreciate if you took the time to listen to my story. While it's a short story, it was longer and the pauses were necessary to grab a drink of water, and I apologize for stumbles and starts and whatnot. Can't fix the head injury. And I hope you enjoyed the story Life. Thank you.